Hi and welcome to part 2 of building an autonomous robotic four-wheel drive car with Arduino. In this video I'm going to show you how to wire up the car, so how to connect the 4 motors to the motor module, how to supply power to both the Arduino and the 4 motors, and how to also connect the ultrasonic sensor and the servo motor as well to the car. So this is what the car is going to look like. We have on the front an ultrasonic sensor attached to a servo motor. We have 4 motors attached to a motor module. We have on the bottom a battery compartment holding 6 AA batteries, and that is powering the 4 motors. And we also have a 9-volt battery which is supplying power to the actual Arduino board. So everything is wired up here. This is what it will look like. Now let's look at how to actually wire it up. Okay, so what I have here is the basic car kit. So I have the frame, I've attached the 4 wheels, I've attached the 4 motors as well. And if you have a look at these wires here on the motors, basically I have taken the, let's separate these a little bit. Basically I've taken the red wires from these 2 motors here. Okay, so I've got the 2 red wires, 1 from each motor. I've twisted the wire, 2 wires together at the end there, and I've taped that up with some electrical tape, and I've done the same with the 2 black wires. Okay, so I've taken the black wire from each motor and I've twisted the wires at the end and then wrapped that up in some electrical tape. So I've done that with these 2 motors, and then on the other side you can see that I've done it again here. So I've got the black wire from each motor, wrap them together, and then the red wires from each motor as well, and wrap those together. Okay, so that's it. I have the L298N motor module is attached as well. I've also put a servo motor on the front. That's just, at the moment, that's just hot glued down. It's glued down. I used a hot glue gun to fix that on there. But what I'd like to do is actually 3D print a part that can sit in. On top of the servo motor, I've attached the ultrasonic sensor. So I have 4 wires coming from the ultrasonic sensor, and I have 3 coming from the servo motor, which I'm just going to leave at the moment. Can connect that all up later. Okay, so the first thing I'm going to do is actually attach the battery enclosure for the AA batteries. So we'll have 6 AA batteries going in there, and from that enclosure we have 1 black wire and 1 red wire. So I'm going to sit that in there. Okay, the red wire is going to go in here. Alright, so the red wire on the motor module is going to go right there where it says VCC. That's the red wire. The black wire is going to ground, which is this second one here. And then we're going to leave 5 volts there. We're just going to screw that down. Okay, so firstly I'll attach the red wire. So I'll get that from the battery enclosure. Without bumping the servo motor and ultrasonic sensor too much, I'm going to plug that in there. Alright, and then I'll tighten up that screw. Okay, so that red wire is in now where it says BCC, and now I'm going to plug the black wire from the battery compartment into ground. You've got to make sure that it's nice and tight and it's not going to fall out, so you can give it a bit of a, just to pull that wire a little bit and make sure that it doesn't come out. Okay, so there we go. We've got black going into ground and red going into VCC, and then that 5-volt one is just left on its own. Okay, so that's the battery component or battery compartment done. Okay, now we can wire up the motors. So on this side, we have right here on this side, it's a little bit tricky to see, but we have out 3 and then out 4. Okay, so the two black wires are going to both go into out 3, and the 2 red wires on this side are going to go into out 4. All right. Sometimes a little bit tricky to get them in, but you've got to make sure that they're right in and then nice and tight. Okay, and then the red one. Okay, there we go. So we have the black wires, both 2 black wires, 1 from each motor, going into the out 3, and then the 2 red ones going into out 4. We need to do the same thing on this side. Okay, so we have out 1 here, and we have out 2 here. All right, so the red wires are going to go into out 2, and the black wires are going to go into out 1. Okay, so we have 2 black wires there going into out 1, and then 2 red wires from that 2 motors going into out 2. Okay, so all 4 motors are now hooked up, they're wired up, and the battery compartment is also connected. Okay, now what I have here is I have the Arduino sensor shield, which is on top of the actual Arduino. So I can pull that apart just to show. Alright, so this is the Arduino, and this here is the sensor shield. So that, making sure that none of the pins get bent, and make sure that you just connect it carefully. That just slots in on top. And have to be very careful, sometimes these pins get a bit bent, but that just slots in there. Like so. Okay. There we go. So I'm just going to sit that there. And now I'm going to start wiring up, connecting the motor module to the actual sensor shield. Okay. Okay, so I have a whole heap of wires here, both with female ends. So I have a selection of different colors, and I'm going to now connect the different pins from the motor module onto the sensor shield. Okay, so what we'll do is we'll start with engine A, which we have just here. So just to point this out, I have engine A, 5 volt, 5 volt, engine B in that back row there, and then in the front row we have in 4, in 3, in 2, and in 1 in that front row. Okay, so I'm going to start with engine A, which is this one just at the back. And I'm going to grab a female end wire, connect that there to the signal pin 1 on the sensor shield. Okay, so if we have a look at the sensor shield, I might just turn this around. Have a look at the sensor shield. On this strip here, there are 3 rows. One says S, which is signal, one says V, which is voltage, and one says G, which is ground. So there's 3 rows there, they're all numbered, and I'm going to start with S1, so signal 1 pin, which is down here. Okay, so that's engine A to signal 1. Okay. Now, that's the second pin on the S row. Now I'm going to grab a different colored wire, and I'm going to go to 5 volts, which is next to engine A, so I'm going to get one of those. And now I'm going to go to V1. Right, so to voltage pin 1, which is just above the other pin that we just used, signal pin 1. Okay, so just like that. All right, now I'm going to get another color wire, and I'm going to go from in 1 on the motor module to signal pin 2 on the sensor shield. All right, so in 1 to the sensor shield, signal pin 2. Okay, just like that. I'll grab another one. I'll go from in 2 to signal pin 3. In 2 on the motor module to signal pin 3 on the sensor shield. Okay, and then in 3 on the motor module, we'll go to signal pin 4. And then in 4 on the motor module, we'll go to signal pin 5 on the sensor shield. Okay, now there's another 5-volt pin which is next to engine B on the motor module. Alright, we need to get another female to female end wire and go to voltage pin 6 on the sensor shield. So 5 volts, there's 2 5-volt ones, so we're now doing the second one. Let's make sure I've got that. Yep. To signal pin, voltage pin, so V, pin 6, which is that middle row. That V row there, in that middle row there on pin 6. Just check that that's right. Yep, there we go. Okay, grab another wire. Okay, and now we're going to go from engine B, that last pin there on the motor module, the last remaining one. Engine B is going to go to signal pin 6, just in front of that voltage pin 6, so signal pin 6 in that S row there. Okay, so that's what we have so far. All right, now it is tricky to record this, it's tricky to see it, so I have uploaded some a circuit diagram of this if it's a little bit tricky to see, but that's what we've got so far. Now all that we have remaining is the servo motor and the ultrasonic sensor. Okay, so what we'll do is the servo motor first. The servo motor has 3 wires coming off it. All right, so this is the wiring from the servo motor. If you can see there's 3 different colored wires. There's a brown color, a red color, and yellow. Brown is ground, red is VCC or voltage, and the yellow one is a signal. So basically, we need to make sure that the brown one is in ground, and we're going to use pins 7, so ground, ground, voltage, and signal, pin 7. So just plug that in there. Brown one in ground, red one in signal, red one in voltage, and yellow in signal. All right, so ground is brown, red is voltage, yellow is signal. All right, just like that in pins 7. Okay, now we have just 4 pins remaining from the ultrasonic sensor. Basically, it's going to be very hard to see this, but we have 4 pins. The red one there, which I shouldn't be using red for ground, but the red one is ground. The green one is echo, yellow is trigger, and black is VCC. Okay, so from ground, which just happens to be the red one, we're going to plug that in. And it really doesn't matter what pin number you use, but I'm going to use ground pin 11. So it's just there. Okay, so that's plugged from ground on the ultrasonic sensor to ground pin 11 on the sensor shield. Then the next one, which is the green one, is echo. So So echo from the ultrasonic sensor is going to go to signal pin 9. So S9 on the sensor shield. Then the next one is yellow, which is trigger. That's going to signal pin 8. And you can use whatever pins you want, as long as it matches up with the code in your program, and as long as you're using the right rows, so signal, voltage, and ground where you need to. So the last one here is the black wire, and that is for VCC. And that is going to go to voltage pin 10 on the sensor shield. Okay. So for voltage and ground, doesn't really matter which pin number it goes to, but we're just kind of keeping a pattern here. Okay, and that is what it looks like. Now, just note here that on the ultrasonic sensor, I've used red for ground and black for VCC. It's a good idea to use red for VCC or voltage and black for ground. I've just done it the other way around, not sure why, but just to let you know that I have done that in slightly strange way. Okay, so that is all wired up now. All that remains is to plug the batteries into the Arduino, the AA battery compartment. All right, and these 6 AA batteries will power the motors, but we also need to supply power to the actual Arduino board. And the way that we're going to do that is we're going to use a 9-volt battery, so a separate 9-volt battery, and I have a 9-volt battery connector, so I have a connector there with a barrel plug end that will plug into the Arduino. So I'm going to connect that up to the 9-volt battery. All right, just like that. And now this will plug into the barrel plug on the Arduino. Okay, and the Arduino is lighting up, so we've got power. It's a little bit of a mess here. Just pop that there. All right, so we've got power to the Arduino. Now we can turn on the actual motor module. So press that switch there. Okay, and we have power. So it's working. All right, now all we need to do is just make sure that the code is correct. So I've already got some code on this Arduino, but in the next part of this tutorial, I'm going to show you the actual code to program it with the ultrasonic sensor, with the servo motor to get that working, and to get the wheels spinning. All right, so that's it for this video. In the next video, we're going to do some coding. Thanks for watching.